All right. How are we feeling? For non-Swahili speakers, we have a saying which in English means when you're hungry, you're weak, but when you get full, you're drunk. So are we feeling weak or drunk, or are we feeling energetic? If we're feeling energetic, can we clap our hands, please? Can we clap our hands? All right, for the people that are standing, please, can we sit? Can we get seated, please, so we can proceed? So, we still have a wonderful, wonderful presentation here, and it's going to be on lessons from existing African integration initiatives. And before that, we'll have the official launch of something wonderful called the African Exchanges Linkage Project. As our tagline today says, integration and inclusive participation. So we need to involve ALP as well, and we'll hear a lot more about that very soon. But before that, I would love to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank all our sponsors. We have our platinum sponsors of who we heard from. We have Kado Securities Limited and CRDB Bank PLC. Can we please clap our hands for them? We have our gold sponsors, Infotech Group, Stanbic Bank Tanzania Limited, Orbit Securities Company Limited, UTT Asset Management and Investor Services, UTT AMIS, NBC Bank Tanzania, NMB Bank PLC. Can we clap our hands for the gold sponsors? We also have the silver sponsors, Solomon Stockbrokers Limited, Zan Securities Limited, iTrust Finance Limited, Victoria Finance PLC, Global Alpha Capital Limited, National Social Security Fund, that is NSSF, STT Technologies, and the International Finance Corporation, IFC. Can we clap our hands for them as well? All right. Can anyone repeat what I said will be next? If we are not drunk by the food. So as I said, so we are going to have the official launch of the African Exchange Linkage Project, but we'll also learn from the existing African integration initiatives. Please help me welcome the AELP coordinator, Ms. Lina Tunui, for all this. Please, can we give her a round of applause? Right, you see, they're excited for you. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you to all my fans for that very warm welcome. I'm honored to be here, and thank you all for coming back from your lunch. I hope, I don't know if the MC said you're drunk or happy, but I want to believe that we're all energetic. So thank you very much. The session that we're going to go into before we get into the presentation of the ALP project, and also I'll be sharing a platform with the COSE leadership, who will also talk to us all about integration on their region. So today, we mark a very significant milestone for the African Exchanges Linkage Project. We're very proud to be launching phase 2 of the project, the go live of the 4 exchanges that have been added onto the African Exchanges Linkage Project. Just as a quick background, so the ALP is integrated through a phased approach. In phase 1, we started with the largest exchanges that one exchange, a representative from all the regions across the continent. And the work that we began for the African Exchanges Linkage Project, it all started in 2019. We have made such great progress that now, when we launched the first phase in December of 2022, We have had a few transactions, and so we have proved the concept that Africa can be integrated. And today we celebrate phase 2, the addition of 4 exchanges, bringing the total number of exchanges participating in the project to a total of 11. So the ALP is a partnership between ASEA and the Africa Development Bank. And today we're honored to have a representative from the Africa Development Bank with us as we commemorate this great achievement. So if you may allow me, I'd like to invite Dr. Duncan Auma, who is a representative from the Africa Development Bank, to give some remarks, and after that we will go into the official launch ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lena, and good afternoon, dear participants and guests. I would like to also stand on the protocol that has been established by earlier speakers. Allow me to recognize the presence of the ASEA President, Dr. Celestine, and also the CEO, DSA, and the other CEOs for the stock exchanges who are present here today. All protocols observed, as I've mentioned. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'll make a few remarks on behalf of Mr. Ahmed Tatut, who is the Director of Financial Sector Services at the Africa Development Bank. He was not able to be here due to conflicting schedule and has requested me to make these remarks and also to pass his regards. It is a privilege to represent the African Development Bank here in Dar es Salaam today on this occasion that marks a meaningful step towards African capital market integration. Allow me to begin by warmly thanking our host, the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, and its CEO, Mr. Peter Nalitolela, the ASEA's President, Dr. Celestine, the ASEA Secretariat under the leadership of Ms. Agnes Nafula, the entire AELP technical team, including the project manager, the project leader, Lena, who is here. We do thank you so much for the work that has gone into this and for us to be here this afternoon. So this is a launch of the second phase of this project, the African Exchanges Linkage Project, which is financed by the African Development Bank Group through a support from the Korea Africa Economic Cooperation Trust Fund. And as we will see maybe later on, as the first phase of this project has been able to enhance integration of about seven exchanges, stock exchanges or security exchanges across the continent, all the way from the north to the south, to the east, to the West Africa. And the second phase of this project aims at taking this to another level, which will be basically bringing in new stock exchanges on the platform. And that will be about 4 of them that is going to be added onto this project, including Botswana, Ghana, Eswatini, and Uganda. Let me mention that this launch to us as African Development Bank is not just a routine project milestone, but we see it as a result of years of patient, technical, and sometimes unglamorous work by ASEA, by the participating exchanges, by the central securities depositories, by the regulators that have engaged constructively with the integration process, and by every broker that has taken the operational complexity of cross-border routing. To all of them, I wish to extend the recognition of the African Development Bank of their efforts. The African Development Bank has been honored to work alongside ASEA for now since 2014. That's about 12 years. And we are proud to say that we are the leading financial partner of the African Exchanges Linkage Project across both the two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Niseme makofi kwetu, ama niseme aje. And also happy to mention that this is not the end. As I speak, there's already ongoing work to design the third phase of this project, which we believe will be able to bring in to focus more on the brokers, focus also on deepening partnerships, and building credible commercial models across the continent, and also exploring some of the new frontiers that we have been told about since we are here in the morning. I will not take much of your time. I'm sure many of you are interested in going to see what a presentation is in. But let me just mention that at the bank, under the leadership that we have under the President Alta CD, and of course also with the support of the board of the bank, this project is aligned with our long-term strategic objectives. The recently launched New African Financial Architecture for Development, NEFAD, but also one of our 4 cardinal points, which is mainly to ensure that there is enhanced financial sovereignty across the continent, and therefore also to reduce fragmentation and enhance coordination across different stakeholders, particularly capital markets and stock exchanges across the continent. We believe that according to our knowledge and our understanding, this is actually one of the most ambitious operational capital markets integration initiatives that will go a long way in enhancing capital mobilization for our economies, to driving development across the continent. Without taking much of your time, I would like to reiterate that the African Development Bank Group remains a committed partner in this chapter, and we are happy that we have the opportunity to participate in this launch here in Dar es Salaam today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Uma. So to begin, or to go straight into the launch, I would like to now invite the president of the ASEA, who will hand over certificates of, I don't want to say completion, but then of achievement. We have now gone technically live with those 4 exchanges, and now all the exchanges are tradable on the ALP link. And for that, I would also just like to mention our technical partner, who is Direct Financial Network, based out of Dubai, for their great work that they have done towards the implementation and our partnership towards capital market integration across the continent. Over to you, Celestine.
Thank you, Dina. I know this is afternoon. If I delay in speaking, some of you might be sleepy. Our hosts, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to stand on all the protocols already established since this morning. It's my great pleasure that today we celebrate the official launch of the phase 2 of the Africa Linkages Project, the ALP. As you may know, today marks another important milestone in ASEA's vision of creating a more integrated, accessible, and competitive African capital market. It was said several times this morning from different speakers on the panels. Governor mentioned it. These markets of ours can't work in silos. It's obvious. There are some examples maybe I would like to utilize here. There was a mention of the Dangote IPO, which is in the making. But there was also actually one that has been completed recently in Kenya. That's the Kenya pipeline. So these are not just issues of raising money. These are issues of doing business together across the markets to support our economies. Now the money deployed, the money raised in this market of East Africa, it was, I think, 106 billion Kenyan shillings, close to $900 million. So no one, that was the next biggest IPO, actually was the biggest IPO in this region of East Africa, done in Nairobi, but it was almost undersubscribed if we did not have regional players to intervene. If I recall, one of our members who are joining today, who are being launched, that's Uganda Securities Exchange. Ugandan investors bought a stake of 20% at least in that big IPO. It was unheard of before to have a big IPO like this in East Africa. The next biggest one was in 2008. That's 17 years ago. That was Safaricom. It was half of that. The point I'm trying to make, only investors from those three countries and retail investors participated in that. Some of them are retail investors. So that's Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya. And Tanzanian investors are most likely participating by now, maybe in the secondary market. But the point is, it was done and it was proven that we can do it together. So the Dangote, there will be many more. I hear all governments from Ghana, Ethiopia has promised more than 50 companies to come to the market. I hear I heard Abena this morning mentioning something about their president making announcements in London recently on state-owned enterprises coming to the market. All those are big IPOs. You know, companies in Ghana are big. So are companies in Nigeria, in oil and gas. So are companies across for infrastructure. But what we are celebrating here is a step in the right direction. So over the years, we have dedicated tremendous efforts for the access of ALP, which is our flagship initiative jointly implemented by the African Securities Exchanges Association and the African Development Bank. Through this partnership, we are transforming what was once an aspiration for seamless cross-border investment into a practical reality. We may say that there are no transactions happening today. Yes, there has been some hurdles, but there has to be some steps. And the one step that we are doing today, we are onboarding another 4 countries, markets. Now we are becoming 11, and the target in phase 3, phase 2 was supposed to be 15, but we just heard from UMA, and I hope it's not just a promise, because you have delivered before, I can trust you. Because I do believe the African stock exchanges and the capital markets fraternity is a big part of NAFAD. We have been there before, and we are still supportive of that. And we are walking the talk. So from here, we expect other issuers, because the next step, I think, is going to be about the issuers and the investors. Infrastructure alone is not good enough. Our legal frameworks are there. Whatever is there can still support what we are doing. Not enough, of course. We've heard that this morning on the legal frameworks. But I am very convinced that the first step being done on infrastructure side, the next step is to approach the more Dangotes we see on this continent. And it's possible. But it won't be possible if we don't link up those Dangotes with the demand side. The demand side mainly, institutional investors are there, but the retail investors have to be also approached properly. But those big boys are the ones who would matter the most in terms of quantum. That is the institutional investors. So ladies and gentlemen, since the successful completion of phase one, investors have been able to access investment opportunities across participating markets through licensed brokers using the ELP platform. While trading activity has demonstrated that the concept works, it has also provided valuable lessons on the operational and market challenges that must be addressed to unlock the full potential of cross-border investing across Africa. Today we are proud to officially launch the successful completion of integrating 4 additional exchanges into this platform: the Botswana Stock Exchange, the Ghana Stock Exchange, the Uganda Securities Exchange, and the Eswatini Stock Exchange. Their participation expands the ALP network to 11 African stock exchanges and a growing community of more than 50 participating stockbrokers, creating one of the continent's most significant collaborative capital markets initiatives. This achievement is about much more than technology. It reflects the commitment of African exchanges to work together to harmonize market practices, broaden investment opportunities, improve market liquidity, and provide investors with seamless access to investment opportunities across our continent. This milestone also represents the first major step towards delivering ASEA's strategic plan, which positions ASEA as the leading catalyst for vibrant, integrated African capital markets through different strategic pillars. The ELP is achieved through a phased approach, from foundational implementation through consolidation, culminating in a fully integrated continental capital market by 2030. We recognize that achieving this vision will require sustained commitment from all stakeholders. Success will depend on continued collaboration among our members, alignment of regulatory frameworks across jurisdictions, active participation by stockbrokers and investors, and partnerships with like-minded development finance institutions. As we celebrate this milestone, we also recognize that our work is far from complete. Our next priority is to increase broker participation, simplify cross-border account opening and settlement processes, strengthen collaboration with partners such as PAPS to improve payment efficiency, and continue expanding the ELP network to include even more African exchanges. On behalf of ASEA, I extend our sincere appreciation to the African Development Bank for its continued financial and technical support, to our participating exchanges, regulators, stockbrokers, technical partners, ELP working committees, and every institution whose dedication has made this achievement possible. Together, we are building the infrastructure that will enable African capital markets to move freely across our continent, deepen our capital markets, and unlock greater opportunities for African investors and businesses. I congratulate our 4-phase exchanges, 2 exchanges, now on the important achievement, and invite all ASEA members and partners to join us as we continue building Africa integrated capital markets. It is only now that can say I am very proud of our African exchanges and all our partners. It's my pleasure to invite on stage the CEOs of the 4 exchanges and their staff who have worked tirelessly to make this integration a success. Thank you for your attention.
you, Mr. President. We would now like to go into the certificate presentation, and I would like to call on stage Ms. Abena Amor, the CEO of Ghana Stock Exchange. And with her, I would also like to invite participating members from the Ghana Stock Exchange, all the working committee members that took part in this process. Right, we'd like the photographers to come and commemorate this moment for us.
Don't go. Come on. You guys did the work. When it comes to, thank you very much, ASEA. For GSC, we're excited to join the platform, and we hope that this becomes a real transformational tool for investors to trade across all of Africa's $2 trillion market. I don't like talking when it comes to these things because the people that did the work, I wasn't one of them. So I want to really ask you to acknowledge the people that did the day-to-day work. And here I want to really, please clap for them. Clap for them. And there are 3 people here representing a big group, but here is Dinah Okang, our head of strategy and international relations. Next to her is Jennifer Dogbache, who's my executive assistant and takes my good moods and bad moods with such grace. I can't do anything without her. And then, last but not least, Emmanuel Isimeku, who is with my IT department and has endless nights making sure that our systems are up and supporting all the trade activity that we are getting. So thank you guys on behalf of you.
Right, thank you. Congratulations again to the Ghana Stock Exchange and the team that has worked tirelessly behind the scenes. I would now like to welcome Mr. Paul Buiso, the CEO of Uganda Securities Exchange. And if we have any other representatives from USC, kindly join him.
Good afternoon to you all. On behalf of the Uganda Securities Exchange, we're excited to have joined the AELP project. I think the theme is a testament of this initiative, driving capital markets growth in Africa through innovation, integration, and inclusive participation. That is what we've just achieved with the ASEA team. I'd also like to thank Lina, the president, and Mr. Nazir. The hours are quite different in these integrations, and the teams have to manage all these structural and timing differences between getting this innovation done. So really appreciate the work that was put in, but also we look forward to utilizing this technology to support the growth of our markets. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'd also like to now call upon Kopano from the Botswana Stock Exchange. And if there are any other members from the BSC, you're welcome to join.
Good afternoon. Protocol is duly observed. This is a momentous occasion for Africa and for Botswana Stock Exchange. And we pay tribute to all the leaders and the working teams that have been toiling day and night to bring this project to where it is now, here and back home. Those that are with us and those that started it and left. As it has been said before, we are excited at the opportunity of being able to allow our local investors to access African markets through this particular project. In fact, we are at a point in time where we are mobilizing capital locally from primarily institutional investors so that we could participate in this Africa's largest IPO of Dangote, and of course any other that would come, and to progressively support those companies that are already listed. We also have a very interesting pipeline that we believe through this project African investors will be able to access. So we are really happy that we are part of a bigger team through ASEA that is transforming African economies and markets. Thank you.
And now, last but not least, the Eswatini Stock Exchange. Unfortunately, they were not able to attend this session, but however, I will ask Mr. Colin, who is the chair of the COSE, to receive this certificate on their behalf.
Thank you. I'll ride on observed protocols. It is such an honor to represent a member of the Committee of SADC Stock Exchanges, which I'm privileged to chair, that have asked me to receive this certificate on their behalf. And it is a step in the right direction for our region in Southern Africa in terms of the interconnectivity project, and the onboarding of Eswatini Stock Exchange demonstrates that this ELP project is leaving no one behind, and it is aligned to our cherished objectives of creating one big market that will be counted on the global scene. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that session. I would like us to give one more round of applause to all the exchanges. And so this is a call to all the other exchanges that you're welcome to join us. Yes, thank you very much for the time that we have taken. I've just been told that we took more time than we should have, but that was a very important part of this whole process. And so I also just want to highlight other key partners or participants in the African Exchanges Linkage Project. Just to give a quick, sorry, a quick background on the project once again. The president mentioned in his speech that we have a network of over 50 stockbrokers that have been interconnected to the AELP platform. Stockbrokers across the continent remain our key stakeholders. The AELP platform integrates the exchanges for live market data onto a unified platform. In addition, the platform then brings on board stockbrokers that will now route orders between themselves within the AELP platform. And for us to be able to, or rather to bring the stockbrokers together and to coordinate their activities, the ASEA and the Africa Development Bank as well has worked with the stockbrokers to create what we call the African Stockbrokers and Securities Dealers Association. So this association brings together the stockbrokers, the national stockbroker associations of these markets, but in the end, recruitment of other national stockbroker associations end up joining the ASDA. So I would just like to recognize a few of the AELP stockbrokers, if there are any in the house. I did see representatives from Ghana. Yes, we have representatives from Ghana. Thank you very much for attending. Do we have any stockbrokers from Uganda, Eswatini, Botswana? Not today, but we appreciate that. So I would be doing a disservice if I didn't recognize the stockbrokers of Dar es Salaam. One of our key processes as well, when I mentioned that we need to have national stockbroker associations from the different countries participate in the AELP, I would like to appreciate all the stockbrokers from Tanzania. If you could please stand up. We have done some capacity building processes in the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, and we have had stockbrokers participate. So DSE stockbrokers, kindly stand up. Thank you very much. I think there was more than 3 earlier. I saw more than 4. Okay, yes, thank you very much. And this is a call to you all to participate on the AELP. I think Colin will also talk about the different collaborations that we have. But if I could just ask the team to share my presentation, I'll make it very short, again, because of time, and then the next, all right, the next session, we were supposed to share this platform with Colin, but then I'll start this and then he'll take over. So I don't need to repeat some of these processes. We all do understand the benefits of cross-border trading and integration. It has been discussed or talked about by every member that has come here to speak about the benefits of integration. So we do understand that the one thing that we're trying to do is to improve liquidity across African capital markets, improve access to African capital markets. We have done, currently we've integrated 11 exchanges representing 18 African countries. That's our network of stockbrokers, 50. We intend to grow those numbers. And then the platform, like I mentioned, gives access to all African listed securities, creating a one-stop shop for those securities and enabling and easing cross-border trading. Right now, those are all the exchanges that are participating. We were celebrating the 4 new exchanges. However, the phase 1 exchanges were Casablanca, BRVM, the Egyptian Exchange, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, Nairobi Securities Exchange, the Nigerian Exchange, and then we had Mauritius Stock Exchange also in phase 1. So this is our key focus. The title on the agenda says, talking about the lessons that we have learned through the integration. We started with infrastructure harmonization that we came to realize was the easiest process, the easiest part of integration. And then right after the integration, Now then we went to grade school, where you realize that, technology is, it's an enabler, but then there's a lot more that needs to be done. So the areas that we need, that we have focused on is also capacity building. There's a lot of work that has to go into sensitizing investors across the continent and participants across the continent of the value of capital market integration. And then so then we work with the region, with the exchanges themselves to sensitize, to bring together issuers and listed companies, stockbrokers through ASDA, and general investor education within the country. So this education matches the efforts that the exchanges themselves are already carrying out within their local markets. And while they do that, they also get the opportunity to share investment opportunities in other countries. And as part of capacity building processes, we will also have regular webinars going forward where we highlight each market, and once we have a calendar on that, we will share it so that all of you have the opportunity to participate in those and to understand the opportunities that exist in the different markets. Regulatory harmonization remains one of our biggest challenges. At the very initial stages, what we have done is that we have looked at the commonalities and the differences in regulations across all these markets. We have collated all that information to help us understand what needs to be changed or altered, and we work with the exchanges themselves, and then we have partners like the African Union Commission who also advocate for us with ministers of finance and other stakeholders to ensure that regulations within their countries are not prohibitive to cross-border trading. We have a dispute resolution process through ASEA, and then we have also, as part of the broker collaboration process, we have a template broker agreement, because then they do, or rather they access the foreign markets through a sponsored access framework. So the key that the big part that we need for this to succeed is a lot of awareness raising. We have to keep talking to investors, we have to keep talking to partners, we have to keep talking to governments, we have to keep talking and talking and talking until our story is understood by the people that need to make change on our behalf. And so we use the platform, like the ALP platform, to showcase listed securities in those markets that in the end will lead to more trading into those markets, and in the end, improving market depth. Other processes that we need to do, a lot of the questions that people ask is that they do not know, like what's listed in these African markets. We have partners that already provide data and information. And so as we go into that, we also seek partnerships with members that can support our efforts to raise more awareness, to provide more data, to analyze the financials that are out there, and to make it simpler for investors to understand it. So going to our next process, we have talked about phase 3 that AFDB will graciously support. In that process, we do want to create a comprehensive economic ecosystem integration. So the first thing, regulators in the room, we call upon you to collaborate with us to work towards the harmonization of regulations to make cross-border trading more seamless. And then payment integration, we've talked about PAPs. We want to also work towards real-time settlements, and then central CSD integration, because like I mentioned again, there's a lot of manual processes at the moment for settlement. Payments always, remains a big issue or an obstacle. So with all this said, we are very optimistic and hopeful that the work that we are doing will lead to the integration of African capital markets. It will improve the depth of these markets. And the biggest aspect of ALP is harmonization and cooperation amongst its members. In the end, our goal is to integrate all ASEA members. We have 26 members in ASEA, and I believe that number is growing as well as more exchanges are formed in the different markets. And so our end goal is to integrate all those markets to create a wider network of stockbrokers, and then with that to facilitate seamless cross-border trading. And so again, thank you to our host for facilitating this launch and the celebration. And I would also just like to extend a very warm welcome to the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, to the AELP. With that, I would like now to call on Colin, who will take us through, who will also talk about the integration in the SADC region. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lina. Once again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation. I just was asked to just give a few remarks around the integration project that is taking place in Southern Africa. So Southern Africa comprises of 16 countries. 16 countries, and in Southern Africa we have 14 stock exchanges. In the various countries, we have 2 countries that don't have stock exchanges yet. There is an ongoing project at the moment to integrate the SADC, we call it SADC stock exchanges. Obviously the question is why these seemingly duplicating initiatives. I would start by just giving a little bit of a brief background. So you realize that Southern Africa has 382 million people with an economy with a combined GDP of 847 billion, and the trade among SADC countries reached about 343 billion last year, 79 billion of which was intra-SADC trade. So what is happening in SADC just outside of stock exchanges is that there is a move towards regional macroeconomic convergence and financial integration program. This is a political initiative that is seeking to integrate the SADC countries into one regional economy, and it is made up of a number of components. Within those components, it has been identified that the banking sector in SADC needs to be integrated, and there has been a successful integration of the payment systems and RTGS. And then all the other components, regulators, insurance, pension, and all that. So based on that, the stock exchanges have to support that overall integration program, which is being driven by the political decision to integrate the SADC economies. That is what has led to the establishment of this interconnectivity project. This interconnectivity project focuses not much on trading, but a lot on investment. So basically the idea is that if there's an IPO in one country in SADC, it has to be available to the entire region. Collectively, the SADC region has well-established stock exchanges, almost all of them with modern trading platforms, functioning central depositories, and very large institutional investors, quite a few big ones in Southern Africa. The challenge is not about the infrastructure or the markets, but it is about just the fragmentation that has been the problem. So why was interconnectivity necessary? It was considered that regional integration cannot just be done on trade of goods and services, but capital must also flow within the SADC market, meaning there has to be capital flows across the Southern African countries. There is a strong economic argument to support this, and domestic resource mobilization, given the small size of our economies, has been deemed to be inadequate to support or carry the massive projects, whether it's infrastructure projects, whether public infrastructure projects, private projects, so each country alone may not have capacity to carry the development of the infrastructure. That's why it was agreed that we pool resources together. The expected impact goes beyond just liquidity, but the project is expected to deliver a regional, strong investor base, improve the participation of both institutional and retail investors, increase price discovery, and improve capital access. Regarding the interplay between the COSE interconnectivity project and the ELP project, it's an elephant in the room that we are addressing, and we've had various engagements with the ASEA leadership and with the ELP team. Our view is that regional integration is complementary to the overall continental integration, which means regional integrations can be a stepping stone to the eventual continental integration. Why? Within the region, there is a lot of familiarity around the economic fundamentals, the cultures, the language, and familiarity with companies in there. So once you have that, to now interconnect the regional blocks actually makes the process even faster. The issues that then need to be considered relate to obviously the technologies, the technological play, but given now the modern technologies, integration of technologies and all that, it is definitely achievable for our technologies to speak to each other. What are the lessons that we have learned in our journey so far? Because we are still starting and we are also learning a lot from the ELP project. Some of the lessons relate to maybe us not having to really focus too much on technology, but focus a lot on the business case around the interconnectivity project. Does it make business sense to exchanges? Is it sustainable? Are the costs manageable? And is it a program that is not going to be viewed in the fullness of time as a white elephant? So it has to have business case behind it, which is something that as COSE we have focused on through the support of AFDB as well, who are supporting the project. We have actually come up with a program to ensure the project is sustainable. The other issues, the regulatory harmonization has been also a very important learning for us in terms of the disparity in regulatory frameworks across countries. The involvement of CSDs has been also very critical. We have, it's very easy to talk about trading. It's very easy to talk about, posting orders and all that. But what are the pre-trade activities that happens? What are the post-trade activities that happen? And usually CSDs are considered right at the end, by which time it is quite late, because the settlement and clearing leg is a very crucial part of the ambition to interconnect. Phasing of the implementation has also been a very important learning from us, and in as much as we would like to achieve so much very quickly, it has to be accepted that different markets develop at different stages. So pacing it and phasing it according to the pace at which various markets develop will make it palatable for more adoption. Then I think the issue of currencies, exchange rate risks, and how a stock price can be affected if it is traded across different jurisdictions is also a very important issue that needs to be looked at very closely, because the gains can actually be affected by other activities around the exchange rate challenges. Overall, we are very happy to be in conversation with AELP. We promise to ELP that anybody that onboards onto the course should be considered to have automatically onboarded onto the AELP. I thank you.
All right, can we have another round of applause, please? They exhausted exactly the time that I gave them, so very, very, very thankful to you guys. Can we give them another round, please? Another round. So, I believe we've had value in this day, and I believe we have seen big things, we have heard of big things here, and I believe we have enjoyed our time here for this first day, and we have started well. We have one more day of this conference, and then we're going to celebrate together with DSE their 30th anniversary on Friday, which will also not just be a celebration, but it will also have important things to discuss. As I said earlier, later in the evening, we'll have a cocktail and networking session. Please don't plan to miss that. We have prepared a lot of things for you guys, and we believe you will enjoy. But before that, because we know that cocktails, for those who know cocktails and mocktails and other things that are drank during that time, they sit well around 6 or around 5:36. So because the cocktail hour will start from 6:30, we have prepared some tea outside so that, you know, you can put some foundation before the cocktails, before the heavy things. Despite saying the heavy things, please make sure that you drink responsibly, because tomorrow at 8 we'll be here. At 8 in the morning we'll be here, and we need you safe and sound to start as early as possible. I don't have the authority to say the wrap-up as well as the short goodbyes for the first day. So please help me welcome the Chief of Business Development, the Chief Business Development Officer from DSE, Mr. Emmanuel Nyalali, to wrap up the day. Can we have a round of applause to Mr. Nyalali, please? He's in cocktail mood already.
Yeah, I think good afternoon. Still good evening now. Thank you. My role here is just to provide the key takeaways of today's presentation. I'm not going to give the details information, but to give just a keynote takeaways of today's remarks and presentation. So I will start with the remarks from Nandine, the WFE CEO, who touched on the global trends shaping market infrastructure. The key takeaway, which I've noted, is that modern market infrastructure has become a strategic asset that determines how effectively a country attract investment and finance economic development. For Africa, the combination of digital innovation, resilient institutions, and domestic capital mobilization and regional integration present a unique opportunity to build globally competitive capital markets. As emphasized by the speaker, Africa's greatest investment story remains its opportunity. On the second presenter, William Speth from WFE, who touched on the role of ETFs and indexes in attracting international investment to Africa. The keynote takeaway is that Africa capital markets can unlock significantly greater international investment by building investable, accessible, and globally recognized market through stronger infrastructure, regulatory reforms, index inclusion, and innovative ETF product. On a presentation by Sheikh Mohamed Issa, an executive chairman of Yusra Sukuk, who touch on unlocking alternative financing through Sukuk, Tanzanian case study. The key takeaway was that alternative finance is no longer a niche market. It is becoming a strategic pillar to African capital market. By strengthening enabling frameworks and scaling instruments such as Sukuk and thematic bonds, African countries can mobilize domestic and international long-term capital and reduce dependence on traditional borrowing and finance sustainable economic development. Today we had one panel discussion by African Stock Exchange CEOs, which touch on the state of African capital markets. The key takeaway, which I've taken note, is that Africa's capital markets are poised for takeoff, driven by young, tech-savvy population and strong performances in countries like Ghana and Nigeria. However, growth is hindered by fragmented regulation and difficult of cross-border investing, which currently push capital into crypto markets rather than into a traditional exchange. To unlock potential, the continent must harmonize rules and create a Pan-African ETF. That's an action point. Modernize infrastructure and expand mobile access to include more retail investors, all while prioritizing investor education and protection. The last part of today's presentation was, of course, we are looking at a different approach which is adapted by our African market to integrate their market. We've got an insight on African exchanges linking project, which was presented by the project coordinator, Lina, and also the chair of COSE, SADC Stock Exchange, give an insight on another project to integrate stock exchange in SADC region. I wish to submit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nyalali. Can we have a bigger round of applause, please, for the summary? I believe he's got us up to date, but he's also got us, interested in how the second day will come about, because we have a lot of things to talk about tomorrow, but we'll also have another panel discussion. If we are on time tomorrow, we'll have questions and answers. We couldn't have questions and answers for today because I believe we had all the value that we could get. So please, for now, you can start with your networking here, and then after here, please let's head outside. There's coffee, there's tea, and some bites, and then around 6 will be directed to go to level 8. There's a very good view there. There's a good setup as well. You can take a lot of pictures. You can have more network, and as we know, as you have cocktail 3, 2, 1, and then after that, we'll head out of here. So can we stand up, please, first? Can we stand up? And then we'll do the 3, 2, 1. We know the 3, 2, 1.